Welcome to the personal finance class. The curriculum is going to start off with the topic income and careers, because we all know we can't talk about saving money and paying our bills with our money until we actually have a job that makes money. In this course, we're going to talk about the good stuff and the bad stuff about getting a job, and hopefully one of the good things is the idea of getting paid. So under positive features, there are 3 light purple vocabulary terms that I would love for you to be familiar with. We will take daily quizzes on the vocabulary from each unit. So this, in particular, is from Unit 1. Unit 1 being income and careers. So the 3 positive features, or the good things about working, are salary. And salary is the amount of monthly or annual, and we know annual means yearly, monthly or annual pay that you will earn for your labor. So salary is going to pay you regardless of how many days a year that you work. Another good feature about employment, hopefully, are your benefits. And benefits are things that your company provides you that are extra. So they have to pay you. That's why it's called a job, because you're getting paid. So you have to get salary. But things that could be extra are sick pay, vacation time, health insurance, things like that the company doesn't have to give to its employees, but some do. The third word that I want you to focus on under positive features is the word promotion. Promotion is the ability to advance to positive things at your workplace. Positions of greater responsibility, meaning a promotion will have you doing more work, and hopefully, in most of the situations, more work means more pay. So take a moment and write those 3 terms down somewhere, or create a doc in your PFM folder entitled Unit 1 Vocabulary, and go ahead and write the 3 purple words down with the definitions. This is definitely going to be something that you will need to use later on. Under negative features, or not so great things about a work situation, there are things called employee expenses, which are costs that you might have to pay in order to work at a specific company that are not paid by that company. Like if you were going to have to pay to park every day at a specific place, say you worked in New York and you had to pay for a parking garage, or if you're a nurse or a doctor and you have to buy scrubs for that particular job. Most of those things are not things that your employer pays for, but that you have to have in order to work there. That's an expense, an employee expense. Work characteristics are the last thing under negative features, and they're really the daily activities of the job and the place where you work that must be done. So not all work characteristics are negative, but we put that under the negative features because some of them you might get stuck with. For example, you might get a particular job that has you going outside every once in a while, and if you have really bad allergies, or if you live in a place where it's really rainy or not so nice outside, that could be a negative work characteristic. If you are the kind of person that really doesn't like to deal with people, you kind of like to be by yourself, working alone would be something you would want, but working on a team might be something you have to do every once in a while. So that would be considered a negative work characteristic. Again, you should hit pause at this time and make sure that these 2 terms are in your definitions. Once you have all of those things squared away, you can put those in what's called a job analysis. So let's just say that you were interested in being a bus driver, but you're not 100% sure if it's something you want to do because you don't know enough about it. You would complete a job analysis, which is an evaluation of the positives and the negative things about that particular job. So this is going to help you identify the types of work that would be a good fit for you. So for example, being a bus driver, you would do a job analysis. You would talk about all the positives. What is the salary for a bus driver? What are the benefits for a bus driver? And then you would talk about all the negatives, or write down things that you feel like are a negative. And the other thing that a job analysis would have you do is what's called a career preparation cost, which means how much would it cost you to become a bus driver? How much are the classes to get that particular license? Who, and I'm hoping it's your employer, but who pays for your insurance while you're driving the bus? So a job analysis has you analyze how much it costs to get that job. And then, like we said in the positives, the salary. So a job analysis tells you, okay, with this salary, do you have skills, experience, and education to get a good salary? And how much work exactly do you have to do to actually get this salary or get this pay? So again, a job analysis, which looks like this, has you write down all the information about a specific job. In this case, the job title would be bus driver. And then you would fill in all of these spots along the way with benefits, work requirements, meaning what do they want you to do, how much does it cost you to work this job. All of that would be filled in here. And at the end, you could say, okay, do I think this is a good job fit for me? One of the main job titles that a lot of people seem to love but not know all that much about is the idea of being an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship is a very difficult task. If you've ever watched the show Shark Tank, which we are going to watch in this class later on in the semester, you will see a lot of people who are starting off a company for their first time. They are the people who organize it, they manage it, and they assume the risk of it. So if it doesn't do well or if it needs extra funding, it's coming out of their pocket. The good part about being an entrepreneur is that it is your own position and you are your own boss. But sometimes some of those risks can be the downfall of an entrepreneur. 1 in 5 businesses actually make it. That's right. Out of 5 businesses that open, 4 of them are going to close. And if you think about the places in South Brunswick, I'm sure you've seen that exact thing happen. Restaurants open and close, shops or stores open and close. And basically, it is a tough career to choose. Sometimes you could become an entrepreneur if your family already owns a company or you're buying a franchise. So if you are buying like a chain store, a McDonald's, a White Castle, a Dunkin' Donuts, there is support there to help you stay successful. And even though you're putting in the money to start the company, there's already a system of helpers there to get you through it and to make sure that you stay in business. But a lot of the time, starting from scratch is what is the biggest risk. Again, you get to make all the decisions, you're in control, but you're putting a lot of your money in, and there's a higher risk of failure because of either lack of financing or lack of skills. The OOH, which is also called the Occupational Outlook Handbook, is a website that you can find that's going to help you narrow down the search for the career. So if you've done 1 or 2 job analyses, you looked at being a bus driver and filled out the paperwork to see if you liked it. Maybe you looked at being a landscaper, you filled out the paperwork or the job analysis to see if you like it. The OOH just tells you what specific category that job would fall under. So bus driver would fall under transportation, and the OOH gives you all kinds of information about other jobs in that arena. So maybe you don't like kids, so a bus driver wouldn't be for you. But if you looked under transportation, there'd be other options. Maybe you wanted to be a landscaper, and that would fall under construction because you are building, editing, and changing physical things. So maybe you take some classes, you do a job analysis, you decide that's not for you, but you would like something in a similar field, so you would go to the OOH and look at careers under construction. You have to continue to learn about new things, gather knowledge, learn a new skill, have some experiences in order to be sure you're ready when a job opportunity comes around. So being a lifelong learner is extremely important. You should never stop learning. In a place of employment, there's something called upgrading, which means you're advancing to a higher level of skill for your job. So as a teacher, at some point, I had to learn all about Google Classroom and Google Docs and Google Drive, and it gave me a higher level of technology skill to make me better at my job. There's a term we also call retraining, which is if I learned something entirely new. So before computers, we all wrote these notes down and listened to lectures, and everything was done on paper. When the computer was invented and technology came into the classroom, a lot of teachers had to learn a brand new skill so that they could keep their job. There was no way they could continue being teachers if they didn't learn anything about technology. And the other term on this particular page that I want you to be familiar with is the term advanced degree. So as you're learning about your particular job and as you're doing your job analysis, there are programs that you might need to take in order to get your job. Programs that you take after you complete your first college degree. So an example of advanced degree would be a doctorate. You cannot be a doctor without going to school a pretty long time to get your doctorate. You cannot be a supervisor or a principal without going through an advanced program to get that. So an advanced degree is something that you should learn about, and it's a great way to reinvent yourself. If you went to college, you got a degree, you're not really sure you know what you want to do yet, so you go back to school and get an advanced degree. It's all very helpful, but not always necessary. And we will discuss as a group more my feelings on college and advanced degrees. Some of us are not going to go to college. That is a totally fine decision to make. And again, like I said, we'll talk about that in a minute, because there are ways to get jobs and to make money without having a 4-year college degree. There is a purple term here that I want you to write down as always, which is networks. So a network is an informal group of people with common interests, meaning everyone in the group likes the same thing. If your parents or guardians have a job in a specific field, they probably network, meaning they talk to other people in that field about things. Networks are the group of people. Networking is trying to meet those people. So if I was a doctor and I went to a convention, I would probably run into a bunch of other doctors and find out more information about their particular practices. But if I wanted to become a doctor, I might call a bunch of the hospitals in my area to see if I could volunteer there. I might go to some of the wellness centers in the area and see if I could volunteer or get a job there. Or I might ask my guardians if they are friendly with anyone in the medical field that I could shadow for a day just to get to know some information. All of that would be networking. It's you making connections with people in a field of common interests. So we want to think about what we want to do. We want to think about what we do well, what skills we have, what information do we retain. In other words, what's a good fit? I would never want to try out for the NFL. I don't like it. I'm not athletic, and I don't want to get knocked over by a guy 3 times my size. I would also never become a ballerina because I'm not that graceful on my feet. You'll notice this year that I trip and fall and drop things a lot. I also probably would never want to become a professional singer because I don't have pitch. I'm not that confident. I wouldn't want to get on stage. These are all things that I've determined through assessing myself. I do like being around people all the time, which is what teachers do. I do like that moment when I say something and it makes a connection with you. So what we're going to do is a self-assessment inventory. We're going to list our strengths and our weaknesses as we start the first process of preparing for a career. Next class, we'll complete a job analysis to see what exactly is it that I've landed on. Is it a job that I'd be good at? Is it a job that I'd even be interested in? And then finally, we will move on to talk about how much that particular job makes.